You hear it all the time, right? The world is splitting into two camps, Team USA and Team China. And the pressure to pick a side is just immense. But what if a massive, powerful country just refuses to choose? Well, today we're diving into the incredible story of Indonesia, the world's fourth largest nation, and its masterclass in playing the great power game on its own terms. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, look at the historical DNA of Indonesia's foreign policy. Then we'll see how it juggles economic benefits from both giants and walks a very careful military tightrope. We'll also dig into the unique strengths that let it pull this off. And finally, we're going to ask the big one. Can this incredible balancing act actually last? I mean, this is the central question of our time, isn't it? For so many countries, the answer feels like a reluctant yes. But Indonesia's entire approach to the world is built on a powerful and very deliberate no. Let's find out how they do it. To really get what makes Indonesia tick today, you have to go back to its founding principles. It's all rooted in this core philosophy that has guided the nation for decades. Their guiding star is a concept called bebas active, and you really have to understand this. It is not about being passive or neutral. Bebas, which means free, is all about making its own decisions, without Washington or Beijing calling the shots. But active, or active, means it is a player, not a spectator. It's out there trying to shape world events, especially through organizations like ASEAN. And man, its history has been a total roller coaster. Back in '55, Indonesia hosted the famous Bandung Conference, really cementing its non-aligned roots. But a decade later, its leader was talking about a Jakarta-Peking axis. That all came crashing down after a violent coup attempt, leading to a 23-year-long freeze in relations with China and a hard pivot to the U.S. It wasn't until 1990 that ties with Beijing were restored, and by 2010, Jakarta was signing a major partnership with Washington. You see the pattern? This history taught Indonesia one crucial lesson. Never, ever put all your eggs in one basket.
All right, so this philosophy of not choosing sides plays out big time in the economic sphere, where Indonesia has basically perfected the art of getting the best of both worlds.
Just take a look at these numbers. The explosion in trade with China is, well, it's astronomical. We're talking about it going from just a few $billion in 2000 to a forecast of well over $150 billion by 2025. China is, without a doubt, Indonesia's biggest trading partner. But look closely at the U.S. column. It's not going down. It's actually growing steadily, and it remains a really vital, high-value market for them. And here's one side of the investment story. Just last year, in 2023, Indonesia got a massive $7.3 billion from China's Belt and Road Initiative, making it the single biggest recipient. That's a huge vote of confidence from Beijing. But here's the twist. According to one report, if you actually include investments in the oil and gas sector, which official stats often miss, total U.S. investment in just a 4-year period was a staggering $36 billion. That likely made the U.S. the top foreign investor during that time. So the key takeaway here is that the simple story of Chinese economic dominance, it's just not the whole picture, not even close. So how do they keep these two giants from bumping into each other? Well, it's pretty smart, actually. They steer the investment into different lanes. Chinese money is flooding into big infrastructure projects and the nickel market, which is crucial for EV batteries. At the same time, American money is focused on high-tech areas like 5G and AI, plus energy and finance. It's like they've created two separate playing fields, allowing both powers to invest heavily without stepping on each other's toes.
Okay, so money is one thing. But now for the trickiest part of the balancing act, defense. When it comes to security, that's where a country's true allegiances often come out. But even here, Indonesia plays a very careful game.
I mean, just look at the contrast here. It's night and day. The military partnership with the U.S. is deep, it's integrated, built on huge joint exercises, advanced American jets, and decades of training together. But with China, the relationship is much more transactional, limited. Some have even described it as underwhelming. Now, this isn't an accident. This clear tilt towards the U.S. in defense is a very deliberate strategic choice. So why are they so cautious with China? Well, this quote really gets to the heart of it. The incredibly traumatic events of 1965, where the military blamed the Indonesian Communist Party, and by extension Beijing, for that violent coup attempt, it left a deep, deep scar. There is still this powerful institutional memory, especially in the military, that sees getting too close to China on security as a potential threat to their own sovereignty. So you're probably asking, how does Indonesia get away with this delicate dance when so many other nations feel they have to choose? Well, the answer lies in a really unique set of powerful advantages they have. So what's their secret sauce? It really boils down to four key things. First, just sheer size. You're talking about the world's fourth largest country. No global power can afford to just ignore a domestic market that big. Second, geography is everything. It controls some of the most critical sea lanes on the planet, like the Strait of Malacca. A huge chunk of global trade has to pass through its waters. Third, it's a commodity superpower. It's a top producer of everything from nickel to palm oil, which means no single country can hold its economy hostage. And finally, its leadership role in ASEAN gives it huge diplomatic weight. It's not just one country speaking, it's a regional anchor. And if you want to see this confidence in action, just look at the South China Sea. When Chinese ships enter its economic zone near the Natuna Islands, Jakarta pushes back, and pushes back hard. It's the perfect example of their strategy. Cooperate on trade with China one day, and stand firm to defend their sovereignty the next. So the strategy has worked brilliantly for them so far. But the world is changing, and the pressures from both sides are definitely mounting. The big question is, can Indonesia's great power gamble go on forever? You can see three key pressure points that could really test the strategy. First, if those clashes in the Natuna Sea get worse, it could force Indonesia into a much tighter security hug with the US. Second, as Chinese investment keeps growing, you're going to hear more concerns about debt and economic over-reliance. And third, domestic politics are always a wild card. Public opinion about foreign influence could easily force the government's hand one way or the other. So we end right where we began. Indonesia has built this remarkable strategy of independence, basically turning the great power competition into an advantage for itself. But as the stakes get higher and the world gets more divided, the ultimate question is still out there. Will the master of the middle path be forced to finally pick a lane, or can it keep paving its own?